Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Dev Radio, where we talk to different people around the world of Microsoft on what their interests lie, cool Azure services they're using, and a lot of other interesting topics. And today I'm bringing back a repeat guest. I'm bringing back Pete Messina, who was with us for our DevOps Happy Hour. Pete, welcome back.
How you doing?
I'm doing okay right now, but you mentioned integration, and that's a hot topic on our channel. So I want to just really just jump into things. You're a cloud solution architect with Microsoft. How did you get to that role? How did you land at Microsoft?
Yeah, I mean, originally I started out at a small health insurance company up in Western Massachusetts as a developer. Really sort of grew into the role. I was a developer there for almost 10 years. It was really interesting. Towards the end of working there, we started off with moving to an enterprise service bus platform. BizTalk was one of the solutions that we went through and started to stress test. Ultimately, we ended up going with a separate platform, but that's where I got really interested in it. Service bus technology and message-based routing, all of those different pieces, and sort of leaned on it. It was great there. Ultimately, I moved on to a consulting company where I learned even more about Azure. Saw where they were moving to with logic apps and API management. Really grew, had some great people around me, had a great people manager that helped mentor me and let me really explore in that area. We built some great products there, and ultimately from there just moved into the cloud solution role at Microsoft.
So you mentioned BizTalk, and I have a little bit of history of BizTalk too.
Yeah.
Don't do anything on the platform, but it's really interesting because when I hear people talk about integration solutions like that, there tend to be a big passion behind it. So integration, Azure. I've heard from the happy hour, and if we're talking with you offline, that you just have a high level of interest in integration altogether.
Yep.
Can you speak to that a little bit, especially for our audience who may not know of many of the Azure integration services?
Yeah, so Azure Integration Services is sort of like a group of services together that build up that message-based platform and much more. So you talk about logic apps, Azure API management, service bus, functions, and essentially what you can do is you can build a expandable architecture from that. Take a message in from an HTTP endpoint, put it on a service bus, and then you have functions that can scale to essentially take all of those messages in. Service bus itself has a lot of nice capabilities as far as like first in, first out. You can use session to essentially correlate messages together so they go through one path. So there's a lot of flexibility there.
So I'll tell you, what interested you in these integration offerings, and what problems do they solve for both you and your customers? What got you really excited and really digging deep into this?
I've always been in sort of my development career. I've always gravitated more towards the middleware, especially from the API side of it. I really enjoy the fact that it allows a higher level of expandability from like a messaging process. So you can take in a lot of data and then process it really quickly and sort of send it through your entire system. Again, an example being an ordering platform. You may not care that the actual order was shipped, but something downstream might. And so you can send an event out and wake up whole processes behind the scenes to do emails. You can do tagging. You can essentially do whatever you want to from that process.
Now, I'll tell you, you and I talked offline, and we also saw you mention it during the happy hour. API management seems to be a focus for you in
Yep.
some ways. Can you talk a little bit about why you're focusing on API management and some of the cool things you may be doing there?
Yeah, I think it's a great product. I think Microsoft has done a great job around it, and especially with the policy management, including certain things like having cash up front, right? So API management has its own cache. You can actually build in additional cache and sort of strap in Redis from there. Just the capabilities that it brings from just a front end product to get data into the system is, I think, is phenomenal.
Well, I tell you, I'm really excited because you and quite a few of your colleagues are working together to bring some content to Dev Radio around an API management landing zone. And I have to admit, I'm a little unfamiliar with the concept, and I'm going to assume that many of the audience are unfamiliar. So, without spoiling everything that you bring in later,
Yeah.
could you tell us, really quickly, what that is and why we would be interested in coming back to the channel, watching the video or videos where your team shares that?
Yeah. So been working with Cynthia Krang, who's really been leading the team, doing a lot of great work around there. So essentially, what she has been preparing is an opinionated framework around how to actually release an API management into Azure. Essentially, the first go around is a single region approach. A lot of questions, at least that I get on API management, is how do I make sure, one, that it's secured, and how do I make sure that it expands? And so having those opinionated guidelines on how does multi-regional sort of API management work? And then when I want to secure it down to only expose certain APIs, what's the right path to do that? What do we consider as far as the developer portal and how to secure that? There's a lot of recommendations that she's really worked through and worked with the team to really make sure is focused on in that documentation.
So really excited for you to come back with your colleagues and share that with us. Definitely not just, hey, here's API management and it's cool, but here's some opinionated best practices that our team, not only has
Yeah.
formed, have real solid justifications for. Like I definitely can see the value you sharing that with the community. Pete, it's always great having you on. I'm looking forward to having you back to talk about the API management landing zone. Um, I'm excited. If for anybody's watching, if you had the 10 seconds in the elevator pitch for watching it, they should come and watch that session. What would you say?
I'd say it's a great guide to understand how to structure your API management in an opinionated way based on some of the frameworks you might apply behind it.
Well, hey, you know what? You sold me in the elevator. So I'm definitely going to make sure I attend. Um, for everybody else, as always, thank you so much for watching us on Dev Radio. We like to bring you different people from around Microsoft talking about really cool things. If you're not already subscribed to our channel, please subscribe to our channel. Set the notification so you know when we go live. You can ask questions live in the chat. Pete, I'm very grateful for you coming on today. Even just giving us a little taste of what's to come. It's always great having you on and having you share your technical dev.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And for everybody else, we will see you next time.
Thank you. Bye.